The rain pelted the windshield of Tom Martinez's beat-up taxi, creating a rhythmic soundtrack to another exhausting night shift. He was just another struggling driver in the bustling city of Chicago, unaware that this particular night would change everything. Hi everyone, welcome to Lucid Tales. I'm about to share an incredible story that proves how a single moment of compassion can transform a life completely. Buckle up for a journey you won't forget. Tom was 38 years old, a single father who had been driving taxis for the past decade. Every night was a battle, trying to earn enough to support his 10-year-old daughter, Maya, while keeping their small apartment and maintaining some semblance of hope. His weathered hands gripped the steering wheel, calloused from years of long shifts and endless driving. The city lights blurred through the rain-streaked windshield, reflecting the weariness in his eyes. Another night, another struggle. It was close to midnight when he saw her, a pregnant woman standing desperately at the street corner, her thin jacket soaked through, trembling in the cold Chicago rain. Most drivers would have passed her by, but something in Tom's heart wouldn't let him ignore her. He pulled over, rolling down the window. Need a ride? The woman looked relieved but hesitant. I I don't have much money, she said, her voice quivering. Tom's inner voice reminded him of his own financial struggles, but another part of him, the part shaped by his own experiences as a father, couldn't turn her away. Get in, he said simply. Where are you headed? She introduced herself as Elena Rodriguez, a 28-year-old expecting her first child. Her husband was deployed overseas and she was rushing to the hospital for an emergency checkup after experiencing severe pain. I called a ride service, but they canceled, Elena explained, her hand protectively resting on her swollen belly. I was afraid I'd miss my appointment. As they drove, Tom listened to her story. Elena worked as a part-time nurse, her husband was serving in the military, and they were saving every penny for their upcoming baby. Her vulnerability reminded Tom of his own past, of the struggles he and his late wife had faced before her untimely passing. You don't have to pay, Tom said when they reached the hospital. Just take care of yourself and the baby. Elena's eyes welled with tears. But why? Tom smiled softly. Let's just say someone once helped me when I needed it most. Consider this paying it forward. Little did Tom know, this simple act of kindness was about to set in motion a series of events that would completely transform his life. As Elena disappeared into the hospital, a mysterious black SUV caught Tom's eye, parked just across the street, its tinted windows revealing nothing about the occupants inside. Who were they? And why did it feel like this night was only the beginning of something much bigger? Tom woke up the next morning with Elena's grateful face still lingering in his mind. Maya was already preparing breakfast, her school backpack neatly packed beside the kitchen table. Dad, you look tired, she observed, pouring orange juice into 2 glasses. He managed a weak smile. Just another long night, sweetie. But something felt different. The mysterious black SUV from the hospital haunted his thoughts. Was it mere coincidence or something more? At precisely 9:37 a.m., a knock interrupted their quiet morning. Tom opened the door to find a tall, impeccably dressed man in a charcoal gray suit. His presence seemed to fill the entire doorway. Mr. Tom Martinez? The man's voice was smooth, professional. Maya peeked from behind her father, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. Who are you? Tom asked, a mix of caution and intrigue in his tone. The man pulled out an elegant leather wallet, revealing a business card. Marcus Reyes, legal representative for the Rodriguez family. Marcus's next words would change everything. The woman you helped last night, Elena Rodriguez, is the wife of Colonel James Rodriguez, a decorated military officer. What you did last night was more than just a simple act of kindness. Tom listened, bewildered. The man continued, Colonel Rodriguez wants to meet you. Personally. Tom's mind raced back to his late wife, Sarah. She had always believed in the power of unexpected kindness. Sometimes, Tom, she would say, the universe has a way of connecting the dots we can't see. Maya tugged at his sleeve. Dad, what's going on? He hugged her close, trying to process the sudden turn of events. Marcus slid an envelope across the table. Inside was an invitation to a private meeting and a check that made Tom's hands tremble. Mr. Rodriguez requests your presence at his office tomorrow morning, Marcus explained. He insists it's urgent. As Marcus prepared to leave, Tom noticed a small, almost imperceptible tattoo on his wrist, a symbol he recognized from somewhere but couldn't quite place. What secrets were about to unravel? The next morning, Tom found himself standing before an imposing estate in Chicago's most exclusive neighborhood. The Rodriguez mansion was a testament to wealth and military precision. Manicured lawns, gleaming windows, and an air of controlled elegance that made Tom's modest apartment feel like a distant memory. I shouldn't be here, he muttered to himself, adjusting the collar of the only dress shirt he owned, a faded blue button-down he'd carefully ironed that morning. A young housekeeper greeted him, her eyes carrying a mix of sympathy and something else Tom couldn't quite read. Mr. Martinez, Colonel Rodriguez is expecting you in the study. The interior was a carefully curated museum of military achievements. Photographs of soldiers, medals behind glass cases, and folded flags told stories of heroism and sacrifice. Tom felt small, out of place. Colonel James Rodriguez was not what Tom expected. A man in his late 40s with piercing eyes that seemed to look through people rather than at them. His prosthetic left arm, a stark reminder of military service, gleamed under the study's soft lighting. Mr. Martinez, the colonel's voice was deep, controlled. Please sit. Do you know why I asked you here? Colonel Rodriguez asked, sliding a folder across the mahogany desk. Tom shook his head, his mouth suddenly dry. The colonel opened the folder, revealing a series of photographs and documents. 2 years ago, a military convoy was ambushed in Afghanistan. My team was trapped, critically wounded. A local taxi driver, risking everything, helped evacuate several injured soldiers. Tom's breath caught. He remembered hearing about such stories, but never imagined. That taxi driver saved my life, Colonel Rodriguez continued. He was killed during the evacuation, but not before ensuring my survival. His name was Miguel Sanchez, a man who, like you, made a split-second decision to help a stranger. Photographs showed a man who looked surprisingly similar to Tom. Same weathered hands, same compassionate eyes. Miguel was my childhood friend's brother, the colonel explained. When Elena told me about you, how you helped her without asking for anything in return, I knew I had to meet you. From another room, Tom heard a child's laughter. A moment later, Elena appeared, holding a newborn baby. This is Diego, she said softly, named after the taxi driver who saved his grandfather. As Tom absorbed the weight of this revelation, a sealed envelope slid across the desk. The colonel's eyes held a promise of something life-changing. What secrets did this envelope hold? Tom's hands trembled as he opened the envelope. Inside was not just a check, but a comprehensive job offer from the Rodriguez family's security consulting firm. The salary was more than he'd earned in 5 years of taxi driving. Colonel Rodriguez watched carefully. This isn't charity, Mr. Martinez. This is an opportunity. The job description was precise. Security coordinator for their veteran support program. They needed someone with street-level experience, someone who understood struggle, someone who knew how to help people in their most vulnerable moments. Your intuition saved my wife, the colonel said. That's the kind of skill we need. When Tom returned home and shared the news, 10-year-old Maya could barely contain her excitement. Does this mean we can finally fix the leaky roof? And maybe get a new computer for school? Tom's eyes welled up. For years, he'd been just scraping by, putting Maya's needs before his own. Now, everything seemed possible. Elena later explained more about Miguel Sanchez, the taxi driver who had saved the colonel's life. He'd been more than just a random hero. He was a local legend in his community, known for helping anyone in need. Some people are born with a calling, Elena told Tom. Looks like you might be one of them. But something still nagged at Tom. The tattoo he'd glimpsed on Marcus Reyes's wrist, a small, intricate symbol, seemed familiar. Where had he seen it before? Colonel Rodriguez's final words rang in his ears. Your first assignment starts next week. But first, we need to discuss something about your past, something you might not even know about yourself. As night fell, a sealed military envelope arrived by special courier. Tom recognized the official letterhead. It contained documents that could change everything he thought he knew about his own family history. The sealed envelope sat on Tom's kitchen table, almost vibrating with unspoken secrets. Maya had gone to bed, but sleep evaded Tom. With careful fingers, he broke the official seal and began to read. The documents were a genealogical investigation meticulously compiled by military archives. Each page revealed a layer of his family history he'd never known existed. Tom discovered that his biological grandfather wasn't the man who raised him. Instead, the records showed a decorated military intelligence officer named Robert Campos, a man who had worked on critical missions during the late 1960s and early 1970s. Attached was a photograph that made Tom's breath catch. The man in the image looked eerily similar to him. Same sharp jawline, same intense eyes that seemed to hold untold stories. Colonel Rodriguez had included a personal letter. Some stories are not meant to be discovered quickly. Your grandfather was more than just a soldier. He was a bridge between communities, a man who understood that true service goes beyond battlefield lines. The documents revealed something even more shocking. Robert Campos had worked on special humanitarian missions, often using unconventional methods to help local populations in conflict zones. His work had saved hundreds of lives, much like Tom's recent act of kindness with Elena. Remember the mysterious tattoo Tom had glimpsed on Marcus Reyes's wrist? The military documents included a page about special intelligence units. There, in a grainy black and white photo, was the exact same symbol, a small, intricate design that looked like an intertwined compass and a stylized eagle. Colonel Rodriguez's letter continued. Some people are born with a calling. Some inherit a purpose they don't yet understand. You, Tom Martinez, are continuing a legacy you're only now beginning to comprehend. A final document caught Tom's eye, a trust fund, established decades ago, now transferred to Maya's name. Educational support, medical coverage, a future suddenly made secure. As Tom processed these revelations, his phone rang, an unknown number. The caller ID showed only a series of encrypted digits. Who was calling, and what more could they reveal about his extraordinary family history? Tom's hand hovered over the phone, the encrypted number burning with intrigue. After a moment's hesitation, he answered. Mr. Martinez? The voice was crisp, professional, neither male nor female, but distinctly authoritative. Who is this? Tom's voice was cautious. We've been watching you, the voice continued. Your recent actions, helping Elena Rodriguez, your consistent pattern of unexpected kindness, they've caught our attention. Tom's mind raced. Was this connected to the military documents? To Colonel Rodriguez? To his grandfather's mysterious past? The caller outlined a proposition that seemed almost too incredible to be real. A specialized training program, part humanitarian mission, part advanced community support initiative. They were looking for individuals with a specific combination of intuition, compassion, and street-level understanding. Your grandfather's work was more complex than simple military service, the voice explained. He was part of a network that bridged communities, solved impossible problems, and helped people in ways traditional systems couldn't. We have a test for you, the caller said. A situation that requires exactly the kind of person you've proven yourself to be. Are you interested? Tom thought of Maya, of their struggling past, of the opportunities now opening before them. Tell me more, he responded. The details were sparse but compelling. A community center in a troubled neighborhood needed someone who could navigate complex social dynamics, someone who could turn a potential conflict into an opportunity for growth. This isn't a job, the caller emphasized. This is a calling. Tom remembered his late wife Sarah's words. Some people are meant to do more than just survive. Some are meant to make a difference. He was beginning to understand what she had always seen in him. As the call concluded, an encrypted message appeared on Tom's phone. Coordinates to a location in Chicago and a time. But something about the message suggested this was more than just a simple meeting. What challenge awaited him? The coordinates led Tom to a struggling community center in Chicago's West Side neighborhood, an area known for its complex social challenges. He arrived early, dressed in the modest but professional outfit Colonel Rodriguez had helped him select. Maya had been excited. "This isn't just a job, is it, Dad?" she'd asked that morning. "This feels like something more." Her intuition, as always, was razor sharp. Maria Rodriguez, Elena's sister and a local community organizer, met Tom at the center. Her eyes carried the same intensity he'd seen in the colonel's gaze. "We have a situation," she explained. "Two rival community groups are on the verge of a conflict that could tear this entire neighborhood apart. Traditional mediation has failed. We need someone who can see beyond the surface." On one side, a group of longtime residents fighting against gentrification. On the other, young entrepreneurs seeking to revitalize the neighborhood's economic potential. Both had valid points. Both were locked in a destructive standoff. "Your job," Maria said, "is to find common ground." Drawing from his years as a taxi driver, where he'd learned to read people in mere moments, Tom began to piece together the underlying dynamics. He wasn't looking to win an argument. He was looking to solve a problem. The community meeting was tense. Heated arguments, accusations, years of built-up frustration ready to explode. Tom spoke quietly, but with a presence that demanded attention. "I'm not here to take sides," he said. "I'm here to help us see what we're missing." Through careful questioning, Tom revealed something remarkable. Many of the longtime residents had children or grandchildren who were part of the entrepreneurial group. The divide was more psychological than real. He shared stories of his own struggles, of unexpected kindness, of how communities truly heal. A elderly resident, Maria's mother, suddenly spoke up. "My grandson works in one of those startup businesses," she said. "Maybe we've been looking at this all wrong." The room fell silent. As a tentative understanding began to form, Tom noticed a familiar tattoo on a young entrepreneur's wrist. The same symbol he'd seen on Marcus Reyes. What connection could this possibly reveal? The tattoo haunted Tom. That same intricate symbol, an intertwined compass and eagle, seemed to be more than just a random mark. It was a connection, a thread weaving through the mysterious events of the past weeks. After the community center's breakthrough, Tom found himself invited to a private meeting with Marcus Reyes. The office was Spartan, almost military in its precision. Marcus sat across from Tom, his previous professional demeanor replaced by something more guarded. "You're asking about the tattoo," Marcus stated. Not a question, but an observation. Tom nodded. "It keeps appearing in documents, on people. What does it mean?" Marcus took a deep breath. "It's a symbol of the Sentinel Network, an unofficial group that's existed for decades. Not a government organization, not quite private sector. We're problem solvers, bridge builders." He explained how the network traced its roots back to special intelligence units that understood true security wasn't about force, but about understanding human connections. "Robert Campos, your grandfather, was one of our most effective operatives," Marcus revealed. "He didn't fight wars, he prevented them. By understanding people, by creating unexpected connections." The pieces were starting to align. Tom's lifetime of seemingly random acts of kindness weren't random at all. They were in his blood. Marcus slid a folder across the desk. Inside were mission reports, photographs, and a handwritten note from Tom's grandfather. "True change happens in moments of unexpected compassion. Watch for those who see beyond the obvious." "We don't recruit," Marcus explained. "We recognize. And you, Tom Martinez, have been recognized." The offer was clear. Join the Sentinel Network. use his unique skills to help communities, prevent conflicts, create unexpected solutions. A separate document caught Tom's eye, a comprehensive scholarship for Maya connected to the network's educational support program. This isn't just about you, Marcus said. This is about continuing a legacy. As Tom considered the offer, his phone buzzed. An urgent message from Colonel Rodriguez. We have a situation developing. Your first real test is about to begin. What challenge awaited him? Colonel Rodriguez's message came with a detailed briefing. A critical humanitarian situation was developing in a small community near the Illinois-Wisconsin border. A local water treatment facility had been compromised, threatening the health of an entire rural population. But this wasn't just an environmental crisis. It was a potential powder keg of social conflict. Tom arrived in the small town of Millbrook, a community that looked peaceful on the surface but was bubbling with underlying tensions. Local farmers, industrial workers, and environmental activists were on the brink of a confrontation that could turn violent. Maya's words echoed in his mind. Dad, remember, people are more than their arguments. Initial investigations revealed a complex web of issues. The water treatment facility was owned by a corporation with a controversial environmental record. Local farmers were experiencing crop failures. Industrial workers feared job losses if environmental regulations were implemented. Activist groups were demanding immediate action. Drawing from his experiences at the community center, Tom didn't approach this as a problem to be solved, but as a story to be understood. He began by listening. Not arguing, not defending, just listening. A breakthrough came from an unlikely source. An elderly farmer named Jack, who initially seemed most opposed to any changes, revealed a critical piece of information. My grandfather worked at this facility decades ago, Jack shared. He always said the real solution was never about taking sides, but finding common ground. Marcus Reyes provided Tom with technical support, water quality reports, historical data, and connections to environmental experts who could provide unbiased information. But the real work would be human, not technical. Tom organized a community meeting, but this wasn't a traditional town hall. This was a structured conversation designed to reveal shared hopes rather than highlight differences. We're not here to win, Tom told the gathered community. We're here to understand. As the community began to share their true concerns, a sudden interruption, a mysterious envelope delivered by an unmarked courier. Inside, a document that could change everything about the water crisis. What secrets did this envelope hold? Tom's hands trembled as he opened the unmarked envelope. Inside was a series of documents that seemed to connect the water treatment facility's current crisis to events decades earlier. Handwritten notes in the margins told a story of corporate cover-ups, environmental negligence, and a decades-long conspiracy that stretched far beyond this small community. The documents revealed that the water treatment facility had been deliberately cutting corners for years. But more importantly, they showed a pattern of systematic suppression of information that had affected multiple generations of Millbrook residents. Jack, the elderly farmer, looked over Tom's shoulder. His eyes widened with recognition. "My God," he whispered. "They knew. They always knew." Tom's approach wasn't about assigning blame. It was about bringing the truth to light and finding a path forward. He helped the community organize, not as opponents, but as collective problem solvers. The industrial workers, the farmers, the environmental activists, they began to see each other not as enemies, but as people with shared concerns. Marcus Reyes and Colonel Rodriguez worked behind the scenes. Legal teams were mobilized. Environmental experts brought in. But the real work was happening at the community level. Tom remembered his grandfather's words. True change happens in moments of unexpected compassion. Tom called Maya that evening, sharing the day's events. Her insight, as always, was profound. "It's not about winning, Dad," she said. "It's about healing." The community came together to develop a comprehensive plan. Compensation for affected families. A new, transparent approach to water management. Job retraining for workers. environmental restoration projects. What seemed impossible just days ago is now becoming a reality. Colonel Rodriguez explained the deeper significance. This isn't just about one town. This is about showing people that collective problem solving is possible, that compassion can be a strategy. As the community celebration began, Tom noticed a familiar face in the crowd, someone who seemed out of place watching him intently. A connection to his past, or a new challenge about to unfold?